Hey guys, it's Carly back with another video. It's been a while since I've really posted on social media or made a video or just been active in general, and I apologize for that. I've just basically been very busy with work and school combined, and I'm also doing a side job right now, so I really haven't had time to post or even watch movies in general, which is kind of depressing, but I thought I had a day off today and I didn't have anything that I necessarily had to do, so it was the perfect time to finally go ahead and upload a new video. And I thought I would make this one about movies I've just watched recently. Like I said, I haven't been watching as much as I usually do, but I mean, I got a good amount of movies here and TV shows, about 12 on the list. So I thought I'd just go through them, give my opinions on them briefly, and then give my ratings. So I'm just going to start right off with The Omen 3. I watched this probably about a month ago now, or not a month ago, probably like 3 weeks ago. And I don't know if I wasn't in the mood for this type of movie when I watched it, or if these movies just really aren't my thing, because I think I've seen the first one like one time. I've seen part 4 twice, which I don't mind that one too much. And then I've never seen the remake or part 2. So these really aren't, this isn't like a franchise that I love. And this one just came across as being very boring to me. But I don't know, maybe I just wasn't paying close enough attention to it. I gave it a 5.5 out of 10 though, so. And then next up I have Grabbers, which this is like a kind of a comedy horror monster movie about these creatures that are attacking these people, and then they find out they're allergic to alcohol, so everyone gets drunk to avoid getting killed. And I'm not a huge fan of comical, ridiculousness like this, but I mean, it was a nice change of pace. It's nice. I recommend it for people who aren't really in the mood to watch something too serious and depressing. And I gave this one a 6 out of 10, just a little above average. It wasn't bad. Then I watched Clinical, and I don't own Clinical. I watched it on Netflix as a part of our podcast. Yeah, this movie, it started out good. I thought it was going to be pretty good, and then it kind of fell apart. It was just way too convoluted, and it went on for way too long. It was like 100 some minutes, which that's usually a major turnoff for me when watching a movie. It has to be a very good movie to be past 90 minutes. And yeah, a lot of stuff just didn't come together right or make any sense. So I do not highly recommend this movie. I gave it a 5.5 out of 10. But yeah, Clinical, that's on Netflix if you really are interested in checking it out. And then next up I watched Phantom of the Opera with Robert Englund. This is his version from 1989. And this isn't a movie that I would personally pick up on my own. A friend recommended it to me, and it was only like $2 at the store on clearance, so I figured, what the heck, I'll add it to the collection. Yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised with this. I thought it wouldn't be my type of film, but I actually thought it was cool, and it was a change up from what I usually watch, and Robert Englund does a pretty great job in this. This is overlooked, and I think people should check this one out. Gave it an 8 out of 10. And then next up, I gave Zombie a rewatch finally. Watched this one for the first time last year. I have another copy of it, but my friend bought me this copy too, so I thought, hey, I'll rewatch it since it's been a while anyway. And I'm glad I did, because I could see why people love this movie now. The first time I watched it, I feel like I didn't give it the attention it deserved, and yeah, this is great. It's got a great soundtrack and great effects overall, so I give this one an 8 out of 10 now. Then I watched P2, which this is probably one of my favorites so far on this list of things that I've watched this year. Yeah, I didn't really know much about this movie going into it. I just kind of popped it in, and I never really knew much about it when it was out, and it really is a good movie. It's set on Christmas Eve, and this woman's trying to get home. She works, she works a lot and she's trying to get home so that she can be with her family for Christmas, and she has all these gifts, but then she ends up getting locked in a parking garage, and there's basically a psychopath in there trying to kill her. And it manages to capture the Christmas feel, I believe. Like, in my opinion, it does pretty well with that. And yeah, I really recommend this movie. This is definitely a movie that everyone should check out. I gave it a 8.5 out of 10. Then, sorry guys, I'm reading off my phone, that's why I keep looking down. Then I actually went to the theaters and got to see Get Out on the big screen. I was afraid that I wasn't gonna make it out there because the theaters were like packed, and like we never had any time, but we finally made it out to go see it, and that did not disappoint at all. I was afraid it was gonna be way too hyped up for me, because like that tends to ruin movies when you have this set image in your head of how great it's going to be, but it actually lived up to it in my opinion, and probably easily the best movie I've seen in theaters so far this year, and I gave that one a 9 out of 10. And then these next two things I don't own copies of either because they're TV shows, but I watched the first season of Santa Clarita Diet on Netflix also for the podcast, and I cannot say enough good things about this. It's funny, it's great. You could check out the Netflix and Chill Horror podcast if you want to hear more opinions. Yeah, I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. And then I finally got to finish Bates Motel Season 4, which I would say that's the best season so far. It definitely captures the psycho vibe much more than the first three, which I love those seasons too, don't get me wrong, but this one you can tell is really sticking towards the original movies, which I appreciate, and I gave that a 9.5 out of 10 as well. Then I watched Frailty, which this is a movie that my friend would always bother me to check out, but I don't know, just based off this cover and the title, I just wasn't really interested. Like, I just feel like this isn't I don't like covers that are just people's faces. Like, I like when stuff is more artsy and interesting to look at, but I'm glad I finally popped this one in because this was a fantastic film with Mr. Bill Paxton and Matthew McConaughey. They did great. And yeah, I highly recommend this one if you have not seen it yet. Gave that an 8.5 out of 10. Then, this really annoyed me. I went and bought Frankenstein at a thrift store. It wasn't the usual Goodwill. Went to a different thrift store by my house for a change, and they had a lot of older VHSs. They had like the Wolfman and Bride of Frankenstein. But I picked up the original Frankenstein, and like an idiot, I did not check to make sure it was the right tape inside, and it's actually Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, which, I mean, at least it's got Frankenstein in the title, but this really bothers me having a cover for the wrong movie. But yeah, I did end up watching Abbott and Costello, because why not? I bought it, and it was only 50 cents, so I can't complain that much, I guess. And I did actually enjoy that movie. Old comedy like that doesn't really appeal to me that much, but I still found it to be entertaining and fun, and I gave that a 7 out of 10. Then we are winding down. I watched Mother of Tears, the third movie in the what's it called? Three Mothers trilogy with Suspiria and Inferno. Now, I did not see Inferno. Suspiria is one of my favorite movies. It would probably be in my top 10 if I actually make an official top 10 list. I only made a top 5, but Suspiria is one of my favorite movies, and I did not see Inferno yet, but I bought this movie. I forget if I bought this or if someone gave it to me, but it wasn't a bad movie, but I couldn't help but compare it to Suspiria and think like, oh, this is the third Suspiria movie, and like, you know, it just falls short when you compare it to a movie that you love that much. But I mean, I didn't mind it. It wasn't bad. I gave this one a 7 out of 10 as well. Then I watched these last two movies I watched were pretty depressing back-to-back movies to watch. Watch them one night after another, and the first one is Frontiers, which is a French extreme movie, I believe. And yeah, this was a really brutal type of movie. Like, it's hard to say I enjoy these movies because like they actually depress me, but I mean, movies that like draw me into the story and make me feel all these different emotions are usually good movies in my book. So I do recommend this movie if you're into like the brutal type of atmosphere. It says it's the French answer to Hostel and Saw, if that tells you enough. But yeah, I do recommend this. It's a pretty good film overall. 7.5 out of 10. And then lastly, I watched Mother's Day. This is probably the most depressing movie I have seen in a long time. There is no happiness at all in this movie. Like what's going on is depressing, and then like the little side stories that everyone has are just like sad and miserable, and it just ends on like a dark tone. And yeah, I mean, it's a great movie, but I also watched it when I was already feeling like in a bad mood, so like it really just kind of added to that. Should have watched something more fun last night, but I mean, this is like just like, I mean, it's a downer of a movie, but it's a really good movie that I really recommend. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. So that is it, guys. This video actually ended up being pretty long, so I'll definitely keep making videos like this where I update you on stuff I watched and give you my opinions throughout the year. Maybe every week or 2 weeks or so I'll do this. So yeah, thank you for watching, and stick around, and see you later.